suppose I'm a bit disappointed in what I heard in the previous session. And I think if you look at what's happened with government policy in relation to aviation over the last number of months, it's been catastrophic. This idea that we somehow or other have adopted European regulations, we haven't. We've gone in the opposite direction. From the 1st of July, every other European country, and today, has returned to flying, and they don't have the restrictions, and they also have the benefit, those European countries, of moving within those borders through trains, cars, etc. So we actually took a conscious decision in this country not to do what every other European country has done. And the outcome of that policy has been devastating. We now find that as we get through the summer, we had government ministers throughout this time encouraging people not to take foreign travel when there was no scientific basis for it whatsoever. You look at the HSE website this morning, it's less than 2% for travel. While we're demonising air travel throughout this summer, COVID rates have soared within Ireland. And that is down to domestic factors, and we're trying to solve problems here that don't exist. You know, as Sean said in the previous deposition, that air travel is one of the safest ways of actually travelling in this environment. We risk assessment and safety is our business. So the outcome of this policy now is that we have wiped out the summer 20. Winter 20 is the bleakest that I've ever seen. We have potentially, from a Ryanair perspective, Cork and Shannon going to close for the winter unless this government does something now, and there is a way of them doing that. You'll see regional airports practically wiped out because we've no basis for travelling. We have this bloody green list that doesn't work. There's 4 countries on it. I think tomorrow even Liechtenstein, that doesn't have an airport, won't be on it tomorrow because the numbers that we use here was 25 for infection rate. There's no basis to that whatsoever. And what has now happened is that I think as of tomorrow, there'll be nobody in the EU 27 on the government's green list. We found out in the High Court last week that after all the demonisation of air travel throughout the summer, which had no scientific basis, that wasn't a quarantine at all. It was only just advice. So there's no restrictions as it seems today. But we also need to look at what's happening in Europe at the moment. We don't just live in Ireland, we live in Europe. And the Europeans are bailing out their airlines. We have 2 well-capitalised airlines here in Ireland. And what has happened is that you've Lufthansa, who've received 11 billion worth of state aid, Air France, who've received, I think, in the order of 7 billion, Alitalia, 3 billion. They're bailing out their airports. The Europeans know what's coming. They're preparing for this. Capacity is going to reduce in Europe. And for next summer, those countries and regions and airports are going to be scrambling around for traffic. And what has Ireland done? Ireland has actually said, we're closed for business. And tomorrow when their green list comes out, it'll say we're closed to every country in Europe. But there is a way out. And the way out is, and there's 2 things that they need to do, and they are blindingly obvious. And one is, adopt the traffic light system. Don't just adopt it. Go out to Europe next week and actually champion that. And what you need to do is, instead of obsessing on the testing front, we don't have, on a risk base, the WHO and the ECDC are out there saying that air travel is safe, and we're trying to solve a problem in a disproportionate way. And what we need to do is, on the traffic light system, there are green and amber countries, and they should have no restrictions in terms of moving throughout the European Union, as it is today in moving between Germany and France or France and Italy. And these are countries that have substantially lower COVID rates than Ireland at the moment. So, if we adopt a traffic light system, it means that you've got free movement for green and orange countries. And for red countries within the European Union, it is up to individual member states to decide what suite of measures they're going to put in place, and let them put those in place. But we should be talking about those now, not talking around in circles about this. The government today didn't adopt the European policy from the 1st of July when everybody else has returned. They're bailing out their countries. They are maintaining connectivity. We're shutting down connectivity. There are drastic decisions that are going to have to be taken, particularly with regional airports. And airlines need to make decisions now. We should be having the conversations about next summer. If we don't make those decisions now, next summer, that traffic will migrate elsewhere in Europe. It's not going to bounce back. The government seem to think that it's going to bounce back. It isn't. All airlines in Europe are getting smaller, and if the likes of Ryanair is not encouraged to actually, first of all, are allowed to actually carry out their business by being able to transport people. We're flying people out of some of the regional airports with 5 and 6 passengers. That can't continue, and the people on the ground know that. So the government needs to do 2 things: adopt a traffic light system, champion that at the meeting on October 13th. If they can't get agreement implemented, they should actually implement it today. And the second thing is, the aviation task force recommendations haven't been implemented whatsoever. The job subsidy scheme is there. It's for everyone. It's not just for aviation. If we are to attract and retain connectivity in this country, we need to have a program of, as recommended by the Aviation Task Force, of rebates for airport charges. That will ensure that airlines like Ryanair and Aer Lingus can plan their schedule for next summer on the basis of that Ireland is in some way attractive to retain that connectivity. So we blew our chance on a European solution on the 1st of July. We now have a second chance, and we should get ahead and save the jobs that we have here. 140,000 jobs in aviation and 325,000 jobs in tourism. And if we don't get those decisions now, not only will this winter be lost and those bases will go, next summer will be devastating for this country in terms of tourism and connectivity.